Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Harnessing Digitisation and Mastering Quality Management Processes, where we'll be discussing quality management digitisation and process control, including what challenges we're seeing and hearing today from our customers. We'll talk about such challenges such as manual and disjointed processes and lack of visibility and reporting, but also looking at how you can bring one solution under one roof to support process control, safety, and also drive efficiencies. I'm Maria Hudson, Group CMO at the Build Data Group, and I will be your host and moderator for today. I'm joined by Harry Sill, Regional Sales at Zootech, who will be chatting through some of those challenges and looking at some of the options that you can take with quality management. And also Jeslyn Joy, Head of Solutions at the Build Data Group, who will talk you through the digitisation process and also demo what those solutions can look like. If you have any questions throughout the session, please do share it on the chat or Q&A board, and we can answer them either throughout the session or at the end. We're also recording the session today. So for those of you that don't know the Build Data Group, let me tell you a little bit more about us. The Build Data Group is a collection of complementary companies that provide best-in-class solutions across the REBA stages of the building lifecycle, supporting our customers with digital transformation. Together, our brands have a combined experience and expertise working across the built environment of about 20 years. And we have created solutions that support areas such as building information management, quality management, digital handover, and building regulation compliance. Across the groups, we have delivered over 2,000 successful projects across the building lifecycle, and we have what we call best-in-class solutions. So some of you on the call today may know Zootech, which is our SaaS platform and common data environment. We essentially deliver point solutions for, as I said, quality management, regulatory compliance, Partel, Golden Thread, and also solutions around the Building Safety Act. While our Zootech solutions can be adopted in a modularized way, it also provides one single solution for data, document management, and decision-making, inspections, and auditing. CreateMaster is also one of the brands that some of you may be familiar with, which is a UK leading digital handover company for structured data. We have a professional team in-house that delivers quality building manuals and documentations for contractors at the completion stage as they hand over to asset owners to ensure regulatory compliance. And last but not least, we have Brand Digital that provides structured data and building information management and modelling solutions, offering consultancy around information requirements for our customers. As we continue to grow and develop as a group, we add more capabilities to our portfolio that add value to our customers and can support the construction industry as we embrace evolving technology and regulation. So in terms of our approach to our customers, we like to build relationships and partnerships with our customers who are really the focal point of the decisions that we make related to the product, solutions, services, and experience that we deliver. We take a customer-centric approach to everything we do and also put our customers first. We also have a customer success team that sits at the heart of our business and is dedicated to making sure that key stakeholders across our customers and within the businesses that we work with get solutions that work for them. We have never wanted to really spread ourselves too thinly as a company either, so we very much work with companies across the residential sector. So Housebuilders, and you can see some of our customers there, developers, companies in the build-to-rent space, housing associations, as well as asset owners. And really, we provide solutions that support regulatory compliance, but also drive efficiencies, and that's why we're talking about quality management today. You can also see some of the companies that we work with at the bottom here. We work with numerous companies across the house builder space. So we make sure that when we are developing solutions, that those companies have a say in what we're doing and are instrumental in helping us kind of build out what we develop so that they work alongside your own working practices, overcome your pain points, and then help with things like compliance. So the ZooTech platform, we discussed briefly in the slide before last, has been specifically developed to address the challenges and pain points that our customers in the residential sector have and meet their demands. As a SaaS-based platform, it provides a common data environment which is highly configurable. So our implementation team can tailor our solutions and platform to meet your needs, which means you don't have to make major changes in terms of your own internal process, and we can adapt our solutions to your business requirements. You can have full visibility of your inspections and your process and progress via our cloud dashboard in the cloud. And we also have field and BIM applications that can be used to fully integrate with what you have today and solutions in the future. So what will we be covering today in this session? Well, primarily, obviously, quality management, but we have been looking at what the importance is of digitising your quality management process, what benefits that can bring to your business, why streamlining your quality management process will help you deliver the highest quality standards. And I think that's particularly important as this pressure is being put down from the government in terms of the million houses target that Rishi talked about a few weeks ago. I think obviously supply can't really overtake the quality piece. And then we'll look at how one platform can be your single source of truth. So to take the rest of the session forward, I'd now like to hand over to Harry, who will talk about challenges with on-site inspections. Thank you, Harry.
Thanks, Maria. Yeah, I just wanted to, I guess, kind of start by covering off some of the challenges that we're seeing or we're hearing from clients, prospective clients that we talk to, on a pretty sort of regular basis. And these are sort of some of the key themes that are coming out of those conversations that we're having, both in recent times and over a number of years. So I think one of the first things that we're seeing as a kind of a major challenge is around manual processes with paper. So obviously, historically, a lot of this sort of on-site inspection type work was carried out with sort of manual paper-based processes, often collated around sort of plot books, but again, kind of dispersed across, disparate systems. There's also, I guess, a lack of sort of standardization and consistency. So often we see that some of the organizations that we talk to will have different sort of inspections, either from kind of a project to project, or even kind of more so when we're talking about different types of inspections or different ways of carrying out sort of similar types of inspections, even on a plot by plot basis within a particular site, which of course leads to potential issues sort of further downstream. There's a lack of visibility across the business as well. Often the information can become siloed. Site teams are sort of capturing information on site as part of a kind of a business process or a workflow that's been designed by the business or defined by the business, should I say. But that information often is sort of siloed away, and a lot of the value that could be generated from having that information isn't realized or isn't found as a result of that. Again, prone to human error and rework. Without having kind of a digital solution and an integrated solution for capturing this sort of on-site evidence, carrying out these on-site inspections, we're always going to have that sort of human error element, and that could also then obviously lead to potential rework later downstream, or works that are just kind of wrong or incomplete and have to sort of go back and remedied later down the line. I touched on this kind of briefly earlier around sort of generating as much value as you can from the data that you're collating on site. Often without having a sort of integrated digital system for these processes, there's a lack of reporting. So that means that your executive teams, one, don't have kind of audit trails for retrieving information at a later date, but again, they're not able to spot patterns and trends and sort of intervene earlier on, either at kind of a site level or more broadly across the portfolio level, because they're not having access to the data that you're collating. It's all well and good, and it's one thing capturing that information on site, which is critical, but the next step to that is actually using that to generate efficiencies within your business. I think I've probably covered the next one based on what I just mentioned there. The next one's a really important one, and we've seen, in particular, I'm sure everybody on the call will be familiar with the recent changes with Building Reg 40 Part L. We can only imagine that kind of regulatory landscape is going to keep evolving as we go forward. If we're still in a world where we're not using digital data, and by that I mean kind of proper digital data, it's going to become even harder to evidence and prove that we've done and we've taken the steps that we're committed to taking during that build process in order to kind of evidence regulatory compliance. And then again, the last one here to touch on that we see is that there's no central control and data ownership. So having a system that allows you to have a repository where the information and the data that you're collecting is sort of safely stored and accessible in one place is a really kind of critical piece, and one of the challenges that we're seeing businesses that we work with have. Perfect. So we're just going to come to our first poll of today's session. I think that's probably gone live now for you to take a quick look at. So the first, it's a sort of drop down list of responses here. So just click those that are sort of most relevant to yourself. And the question is, what are the challenges you face today with your quality management processes? So any of those that apply, please click on them. The options are manual processes, lack of standardization and consistency, lack of visibility, e.g. tracking of progress and activities, human error rework, lack of reporting or audit trails, inefficiencies in process, hard to evidence regulatory compliance, no central control, or no data ownership. I'll pass to Maria to cover off the responses to the poll.
Thank you, Harry. We do have a few responses coming in. I think the first and foremost one that we're seeing is probably lack of standardization and consistency. And also manual process still seems to be one of the challenges today in terms of QM. So thank you those that have added your answers. We will keep that poll live. So if you haven't answered yet, we would like to see your feedback. We will be running polls throughout the session. So there will be a few more questions. So to get your input as we work through the slides would be great. I will now hand back to you, Harry, if that's okay.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Maria. So obviously I talked a moment ago before the poll around, what are some of the challenges with quality management processes. I want to look at now what, in a bit more detail, digitalisation means you can do. And a key part of this, as you can see here from the slide, is effectively digitalisation means you're able to take control of your quality process. So being more proactive as opposed to reactive, having kind of a robust strategy and solution in place to ensure that you're avoiding some of those challenges that we spoke about a moment ago. So bringing structure to your inspection and compliance processes via one online platform. We talked a moment ago about disparate systems being used. We talked about different processes being used on a project by project basis. Having a robust sort of digital solution in place will bring structure to those inspections that you're carrying out. You also get complete data visibility so that you can monitor real-time project progress and performance. Again, that effectively centers around using and getting value from the data and the information that you're collecting, being able to use that sort of on-site data in order to sort of drive sort of business and strategy decisions moving forward. You'll also have complete control and be able to empower teams to make more informed decisions. And you're also able to work in the field from any device, either on the field type platform or a cloud-based platform. Important again, an important piece there around having sort of integrated solutions and solutions that talk to each other, and providing access to those solutions to everybody within the business that needs access to them and can derive value from the information that's being captured. We can also improve efficiencies by saving time, money, and worries. So building right, first time, every time. Proving critical checks are undertaken, and then share reports with clear audit trails, often for compliance purposes. Being able to deliver on time and improve project efficiency. Again, it goes right back to kind of that first point there around building right, first time, every time. And then also by having that sort of audit trail, we're protecting against future claims with solid evidence, things like revision control, for example, being able to understand when evidence has been captured, by who. It can often be critical once we get into those types of situations. In terms of some of the process that we refer to when we talk about QM or quality management, there's a number of sort of point solutions that we serve. I'll come on to that in a bit more detail in a couple of slides' time. But really what we're talking about is so QA inspections. These might typically now, for some of those on the call, be some of those sort of inspections that you have that sit within your plot book, for example, first fix inspections as an example. We've then got things like snagging and defect management. I'm sure all of you will have a process in place. For snagging, it's obviously a critical part of any build. However, often we see this is one of the areas that typically does sort of exist in paper still, or often sort of in Excel. Part L photographic evidence I referenced earlier. It's obviously kind of been a big sort of topic of conversation in the industry over the past 12 to 18 months. And then the other two here that we're referencing are sort of cladding remediation, and then also health and safety forms. Maria, shall I hand over to you for the next poll?
Yes, thank you, Harry. So the next poll should be going live in a minute, and it's a question around: are you using a digital process for quality management today? So you may be using, digital process for some things, but not others. You may be using digital process for everything. So it'd be great to see your answers and where people kind of fit on digitalisation of quality management processes. So the results are coming in, and it looks like some of you have process in place, or have a digital process in place, should I say, for quality management, but only for some of your processes. The rest say that you don't have any digital process in place today. So that obviously kind of refers back to that manual process that came up in the last poll. Again, we'll keep that poll running. So if you haven't answered, it would be great to see your input and where you sit today kind of on those quality management processes. So going into the next part of the session, I'd like to hand back actually to Harry before we hand back to Jez, who will talk through more of the solution set that we have. Thanks, Harry.
Thanks, Maria. Yeah, look, last slide for me. I just wanted to sort of cover off sort of the fundamental sort of building blocks of the Zootech platform and the technology that underpins it, and then I'll, as Maria says, I'll hand over to Jez, who will go through some of this in a bit more detail. So firstly, on the technology side, you've probably heard me reference in the slides that we've already gone through, sort of field and cloud, but I just wanted to sort of bring to life in a little bit more detail what these mean and kind of the importance of these two things being integrated and as part of one system. So field ultimately refers to the app, the Zootech app, which will typically be utilized by site teams, perhaps site managers that are responsible for capturing photographic evidence, either for snagging, quality inspections. Part L that we've referenced a couple of times is critical to this now. We've then got the cloud system. So the cloud system would be integrated with the field app. So often we see how this typically plays out is site teams are capturing evidence on site and they're sending that up to the cloud, which almost acts as your sort of central repository for hosting the data and the information that you're capturing. Typically this we see being used by perhaps contract managers, sometimes technical teams, construction directors, and even that executive level who are using the cloud-based system, one as a repository for storing that information. But if we move over to tab there, insights, this is where we are making use and getting value from that data that's being collected out on site, where we're able to spot trends and act upon them in order to drive sort of efficiencies within the business. In terms of insights on Zootech specifically, we have integrated Power BI dashboards, Microsoft Power BI. that are used for sort of their dashboard reporting capabilities. You'll also see API there as another element. So as a system, Zootech has open APIs. So we are very much sort of pro integration and have the ability to interact with other systems that you may already have within your business. And then also we have BIM capabilities as well, both for sort of on-site activities. Not one I'll go into in too much detail today, but again, if anybody wants to sort of pick up with us offline around our BIM capabilities, we're more than happy to do that. And then the last thing from me was just on the building blocks of the platform, and I guess how the Zootech platform has been built and where one of its sort of core strengths is. So we've referenced a lot of point solutions already today. I touched on some of them. I think Jeslin's going to come on and talk about those in a bit more detail as well. And that's correct. We have standard sort of templates for things like snagging, for things like Part L. But at its core, what Zootech is very good at, and what it's certainly sort of made a reputation for within the industry over the past 20 years, is having a very configurable system. So in essence, you may well have forms and checklists and registers that exist in paper or on Excel today within your business that are used by site teams. Zootech, being the configurable platform that it is, allows us to be able to take those paper-based systems that you have and recreate those digitally for you. Anyway, that's all from me. Jason, I'm going to pass over to you now, and I think you'll pick up on the product itself in a little bit more detail.
That's great. Thank you very much, Harry, for covering the challenges and the digitization journey and introducing the key components of our platform. Right. Thanks very much for that. So what we're seeing here is basically the solution family called as quality management within our business. So this covers basically 5 key solutions that we have offered, and it's been running with a variety of our customers so far. So we have QA inspections, which is looking at your quality control process through your build program stages, and then making sure that we are able to digitize those forms, get the site supervisors sign off on it, and make sure that you're able to do quality audits. And this is all happening on our bespoke model. This is what I'll be delving into a bit more detail during our demo session following soon after. Then you have got snagging and defects management. Again, snagging is one of the core modules that we have on our system. This is part of contractors' due diligence to make sure that they have built everything to quality, and any outstanding defects or minor items that gets identified during the build stages are identified, assigned, and rectified. So that's on the snagging part of it. Partial photographic evidence is pretty much looking at the legislative driver, being looking at the Part L, wherein during those build stages, you have to evidence that you have complied to the legislative requirements. So we have a module on that too. Coming to cladding remediation, this is looking at, on the back of the Grenfell incident, there has been a requirement to make sure that all the cladding works that's installed in a building is fit for purpose and is safe. So we have a module around that, which looks at all the existing wall panels, make sure it's in line with the compliance requirements. So there's a module where we can pretty much track all the compliance needs. Then health and safety forms is looking at any induction forms or any site safety forms or hazardous operation forms, permits. So effectively, if you look at these 5 modules that we have here, this is a form that gets developed or gets filled in manually, or this gets filled in ad hoc on projects. What we are offering is a tool that lets you digitize those forms, put a business process on top of it, and then we are able to report on it on a progressive basis. So this is the quality management module in short. I'll actually go a bit more detail into the quality inspections now. And before that, we'll just jump into a poll, Maria. And this is pretty much looking at a really important question. What are the systems that you use for your quality process today, right? So Maria.
Thank you, Jez. Yeah, so the poll should be live again. So if you're happy to add your answers. And the questions to this one are fairly simple. Are you using different systems for your quality process today? Yes, no, we have one system. I don't know. So it would be great to see your answers. So split between yes and I don't know at the moment. And I think one of you saying, no, we have one system in place today. So thank you again for submitting your answers. We'll leave that one again open. If there's anybody, any more responses throughout the session, we will pick them up afterwards. Thank you. So I'll hand back to you, Jez.
Perfect. So I'm going to share my screen on the quality management demo. So we will be looking at the quality management module, and assume, let's start with the first component, which is the Zutec Field app, wherein you are digitizing your forms and capturing this information from your construction site or from your projects back into the system. I hope you can all see my screen. Good nod will be, yeah, perfect. You can all see my screen. That's great. So Zutec Field app works offline. That's the first thing that I want to tell every one of you, because your construction projects, your projects may be far from network connectivity. So you may want to get all these templates and check sheets onto your mobile devices before going onto site. That's what this lets you do to start with. So the app works on both Android and on iOS platforms. So what I have done here is I have downloaded a checklist pack for housing, right? So that's what I have got here. And I'm on site now, and I'm assuming the role of site supervisor. So I'm going to go into my foundations. That's what I'm going to start my inspections with today. So I see a few inspections already scheduled for me to be carried out today. A few completed, a few verified. So I need to start looking at a plot and try to get the checklist filled in, right? So I'll go into plot number 7 as an example, right? So what you can see here is you are minimizing the level of data input that is required on construction site. We are pre-populating this information. As soon as you're going into plot 7, what you're seeing here is, did my screen sharing stop? Are all good?
We have got it back, Jez. Thank you.
Perfect. So what we have got here is plot 7 with all the data being pre-populated. Me as a construction superintendent or supervisor on site, all I have to do is I'm going to plot 7. I know this subcontract is quick RC frames as an example, and I can go my foundation check sheets. So I can pretty much fill these check sheets and make sure that I can refer back to the quality protocol and then mark all those checks as required. Now, in the event that I found an issue, right? I find an issue wherein I have some inconsistencies in quality. I have the ability to raise an issue, right? I can raise an issue, and immediately I can take a photograph, and then that photograph gets attached to my inspection record, right? And what I can do is that becomes an observation that comes part of the quality control process. I can fill in relevant information where that was identified. I can also decide on some attributes to classify the observation or snag in this instance. So I'll say this is not operational as an example, right? And I can put my snag description, right? So the snag description, right, as an example. And then once that's done, all I have to do is save it, and then location and face 1, location 7. Okay, so assign to. Yeah, there you go. I have some logic working in the background, that's why. So now you have literally created an issue, and then that issue is now tagged to your form, right? So you have filled the form in, and then what you're able to do is, for that inspection, you have the ability to take additional photographs as required. So I can take as many number of photographs as I need, mark it as done. I can see those files being attached on my in the attachments. I can go down, click on edit, and I can mark up any photographs that I'm taking. I can do that very well. Probably that's the 2 photographs that I took a short while ago. And then once that's done, I can save the record. So, as you're progressing through the inspections, there is one other thing that you can actually do. That is get a sign off done by your site manager, right? So you can get a sign off done, and that's done. If you have a subcontractor around, then you can pretty much get the subcontractor to sign off on the same form and share your iPad and have a secure pin sign happen right there. So that gives you kind of an idea of what you can do with this kind of application, trying to fill a form in, fill in a checklist, and make sure that you get sign-offs done, and that lets you define what that inspection is. Right? Now, in the event you decide that you want to raise a snag ad hoc, right? Now, this is basically going through the QA process. In the event you decide that you want to add a snag, you can literally go in and say, look, I'm going to create a new snag, and then immediately you can use snagging as a standalone module. So it need not be that it is raised directly from the checklist. You can raise it from the snagging module as well, right? So that's what this is all about. So same process, fill in relevant details, right? And then once you're done with it, you can assign it to a relevant stakeholder, because this is an important part that I'll come to when I'm talking about the reporting side of things, right? And then once you're finished with your inspections, all you have to do is you have to come back to your office and hit on that sync icon, right, on the top. And what happens is all this information comes back into your cloud, right? So let me show you how the information looks like once it comes back into the cloud side of things. So let me show my screen. Perfect. I believe you can all see my screen now. That's good. So filling this forms online on the field app lets you capture all the information that you decide. And then on the back of that, you're able to then report on the data that's coming into the platform. This is a view that your extended team sitting in the office will be able to view and visualize and be able to report at a portfolio level without any significant efforts. All you're doing is filling the form, hitting that sync icon, and then you're pretty much getting that data sent through the process. So what you're seeing here on the screen is the workflow, which is defined as 3 N89 forms being preloaded, still in draft, 6 are scheduled, some are in progress, a couple of them rejected, what's finished, and what's verified. The difference between completed and verified is completed is when your site teams are qualifying it's completed, and verified is when you have your quality teams doing an audit within the organization. So you likely have a requirement to 10% of your quality checklist being verified as an audit process. So we are able to capture that too, right? On the back of this, what we can do is we can look at information as a wall chart, where you're looking at the different plots. You're looking at what's verified, you're looking at what's in progress, what's rejected, what's completed against the actual dates that's coming into your wall chart. Now, we also have got items in blue that actually says it's scheduled, it's not completed yet. So you have a bird's eye view of what's going on your project. That's really important. And you can look at it by different blocks. So I have you code block 1, block 2. You'll be able to look at information basically depending on blocks and different plots. Now coming into checklist analytics, you can look at different check sheets that's in place, the workflow on how those check sheets are working in tandem, and you'll be able to see who raised those checklists, who is the actioner that's working on it. You're able to understand by a click of a button, you'll be able to understand there are 21 check sheets here, and of those 21 check sheets, only 4 have been progressed on your property so far, and you'll be able to see what's going on. Now, this is really important for you to get a bird's eye view of what's going on the project. Now, that's the checklist analytics piece. You can filter it by checklist name, you can filter it by plot or location, filter it by statuses, filter it by who has inspected it. You are able to pretty much get that level of granular information on the dashboard. Snags is another important piece. So we always say that identifying snags is the easy part, but closing it is the hardest bit. So on this dashboard, you're able to see snags have come from which check sheets, what the total number of them, what's open and what's closed, and what's rectified and rejected. You're able to understand across a time period what's going on. You're able to understand how many snags been raised per month. You're able to understand the categories of snags. You're able to understand the average closure duration by your contractors. You're able to understand the category of snags that has got the average snag closure duration, and then a list of snags as well that sits on the back of it. Now, this is just the tip of the iceberg, guys. Feel free to reach out to us so that we can get into more depth to understand how data can work for you, right? We can capture the data from construction sites, we can analyze it, and then we can help you towards your quality compliance and your closure, right? So that's really quick on the demo side of things. So let's go back into the slides. Perfect. So what have we seen so far, right? I mean, you've seen a field app with a checklist, right? So what are we doing here? We are defining your forms. We're defining your quality processes and your checklists. That's the first part of the journey. So your business process, we are able to digitize, and we are able to put that online onto your hands of your teams who are on site. And then that's the second point. We're able to then complete the inspections, and we are literally taking that pain away from your teams. And on the back of that, we're able to provide intelligence or analytics side of things. So how do we do that, right? So as you onboard with us, what we do is we already have a standard template of forms. We will sit down with you and then decide and agree with you the content of your forms. We will help digitize those forms for you. And then on the back of that, we will decide what your business process is as well. We train your people, we train your teams, and then make sure that you are set up for success. That's the first part, that's setting up. And then on the back of that, we are able to make sure that the analytics piece and the benchmark points that we need to actually put in to make sure that you're getting the right data in, we're able to make we're able to get all that information in through our configured platform. So dashboards will help. So we're able to connect all your disparate teams. We're able to make sure that your teams get access to all the drawings. So we're pretty much putting in a complete QM pack, and which is ready for inspections and complete the quality requirements. And on the back of that, again, as I said and iterated before, there's about a single source truth, right? That means you define the process, digitize the forms, get people to fill everything in, and then that becomes your a streamlined workflow that becomes a single point truth as it progresses. So with that, I will actually transition across to Maria.
Thank you, Jez. That was great. And it's great to see the solutions in action. So thank you for running through those for us. I was just going to really reinforce some of the things that Jez and Harry have been talking about. Obviously, we've talked about one platform, one source of truth. We do sell our solutions in a modularized way, so you don't have to take the full house all at once. But overall, looking at kind of those benefits that the solutions bring, we can help you mitigate risk, essentially by understanding your data and having that kind of consistent, standardized view of your information. Our solutions support that regulatory compliance piece. So I think we've mentioned a few times today around Part A Regulation 40. We do have templates in place that help you ensure that your teams are submitting data and evidence that comply with the regulations today. Your data within that platform is shareable. You can share with inspectors, QA teams, management. So, you know, it's not just working off a platform and not being able to share it with other stakeholders and teams. That information can be shared around the group. It provides improved manageability. You get better build quality because you have better data. That data is instantly accessible, and you can have instant access to evidence, which is gathered together in audit trails, so you can go back to that data in the past to check things. It provides enhanced insights through the analytics piece, drives those efficiency points and improves productivity. You can track the progress of your teams, monitor the progress of your teams, make sure that they are collecting data in the right way. Provides that smoother handover at completion because you have that data in one place, and that improved program management. So lots of different benefits from having one solution. On top of that as well, having that kind of cost savings and continuous improvement across your business and ensuring that all your sites are kind of working to the same process. In terms of our solution approach, again, we've mentioned this a few times. We do have that full house of solutions or point solutions that we sell in a modularized way. So you can start somewhere and build from there. And our approach is really to help you make digitization easier. We have been working a lot with the house builders in more recent months over the last, as Harry said, 18 months to a year, and helping them with building out Part A and building out Part A process within their businesses. And some of our customers are now moving on to more of our quality management solutions that they have Part A in place. So you can take a step-by-step approach to adopting solutions and working towards the future. We also provide a test run period, so you can Test a solution on a proof of concept before you go on and roll it out across your enterprise. So trial it on a project first, make sure it sits with your business, your current process, and can be adapted to your needs. And once implemented across all our solutions, we make sure that your teams are onboarded, trained, and that we can help you start building that kind of repository of information and record that information for inspections and make sure that you have got everything in place before going out across your broader teams. So yeah, a full solution set. As I said, quality management is very much focused on the residential house builder sector, but we also provide handover solutions to contractors, full CDE. We are working with Building Safety Act and regulatory compliance around that for Gateway 1, 2 and 3, and helping build that golden thread of information. We also support our customers with document management, building digitisation for in-use buildings, and tenancy management as well. So every stage of the REBA life cycle is covered, but obviously today we have very much focused on that quality management piece. In terms of our approach as well, we like to ensure that we build a strategic partnership with all our customers. We have done this before. It's not our first rodeo in terms of technology. We understand, what regulatory compliance is coming through, what is needed. We've been doing this for a long time on the tech side, and can work very much with your teams to bring that experience and service to the table, so that we can take things off your plate and help, build and grow the solutions within your organisation. We also have that 20 plus years experience I talked about at the beginning, so that knowledge that we can transfer to your teams. But as I said, it's very much about strategic partnerships and learning from you as well, so that we can adapt and develop our solutions in line with what our customers' needs and their requirements. And it's really about understanding what you need and the approach that you're taking to quality management, so that we can put the right solution in place for you across those different point solutions that we've covered off today, and make sure that you do eventually get to a place where you can have your solutions in one place, you have a full digitisation process, and that you can roll that out across your business. So without further ado, that's kind of come to a conclusion with our session. We will now be taking questions, but before we get there, we do have one last poll, and that poll is: do you think one platform for your QM solutions would be helpful? So that poll is open again. If those on the session today would be happy to answer. And the answers are very simple again: yes, no, I don't know. And I can see the answers coming in, and I can see that most of you are saying yes, that one platform would be helpful with regards to your QM process and solutions across your plots and sites. So if you are interested in hearing more about this, obviously Harry and Jez are available to kind of speak to customers. We do have a handful of experts within the Zootech and a team of experts that can talk you through and go deeper into demos. But I will take a few questions before we wrap up the call today. So we do have one or two questions that have come through during the sessions, and I think probably this one's for you, Jez, in terms of kind of the reporting. We saw today that there is that kind of reporting capability. Are we able to send out auto reports and then different reports to different stakeholders? So set that up within the solutions that we have.
There are ways to do it, right?
Yeah.
So if you're looking at notifying users from the platform itself, we can set up auto notifications that goes in from the reports as records. So if you want to have a weekly digest or a daily digest, we can definitely set up a distribution list, and we can send what's happened over a period in time. Now, coming to the dashboard itself, there are mechanisms available. So we'll have to explore which tenants that Power BIs are actually set up on the customer side, and then we can get that going. So the short answer is yes, it's possible, but we'll have to work with the customers to define the details and the minutiae behind that.
And what they need. Great, thank you, Jez. Maybe sticking to you, as a reviewer as well, can you get an email for kind of every snag raised, for example, or can you get an email once a day of those snags? How does that work?
Really good question. So we have 3 types of notification on the platform. The first type is what we call it as instant notifications. So that means a snag changes the status, then you get a notification immediately, but that'll literally bulk up your inbox. So that's option 1. Option 2 is we can send you a digest that is based on a frequency that we can decide with the customer, saying every day morning at 8 o'clock, send me everything that has happened the previous day, right? So we can do that as a program notification. And then the third one is we can do an ad hoc notification. So for example, I'm a contractor, I want to notify my subby, I can select a few snags and notify at an instant, right? So they can select and choose which records to be notified. So yeah, we can do that.
Brilliant, thank you. And one final one for you, actually, Jez, again. With the point solutions, is there a dashboard for each solution, or can you have one holistic dashboard if you integrate more than one of those solutions into your process?
Oh yes, possible. So the core requirement is to define some commonality between the processes. For example, we have done some process in the past that looks at subcontractor as the key identifier. That means we look at what quality inspection forms a subcontractor needs to do, what snags are outstanding from a subcontractor, what O&M deliverables are outstanding from a subcontractor. So we can pretty much use some common identifiers within your business process and then tie all of them to a consolidated or an integrated dashboard. That's very much possible.
Great. Thank you, Jez. That is the questions that have come through on the session. I don't know, Harry or Jez, if you have any kind of final thoughts before we wrap up today that you want to kind of reiterate before we close off the call.
Harry, you want to go first?
No, nothing in particular. I think it's been a comprehensive session, and hopefully it's been useful for everybody. I guess any sort of message from our side, and I think Maria, you've already sort of touched on this slightly, but if anybody on the call today wants to discuss any of this in a bit more detail, wants a deeper dive into any of these solutions, wants to understand anything down to how the commercials of these arrangements work, how users can use the platform, anything that's kind of a bit more sort of specific perhaps to your business, then you have our details. So please get in touch. We'd always be happy to have that conversation.
Great, thank you, Harry. Anything final for you, Jez, at all?
Yeah, just the last bit, right? I mean, all I would say is if you have a process on the quality side of things and that is defined of trying to capture information from your site, and it's happening on a paper-based process, or you have disparate systems happening there, more than happy for you to have a call with us. We'll help you transform that and help you digitize your journey, and then get you onto a cloud platform that helps you gain efficiencies through digitization and analytics that you have seen here to help you to gain insights into your processes. So feel free to reach out to us at any point you want. All right? Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Jez. I'd like to say thank you to all of you that participated today, and thank you for contributing to the polls. I will now close the session, but I'd just like to reiterate again from Harry and Jez and myself, if you do have questions or want to dig any deeper into the detail, please do get in touch and we will get back to you and we can deeper dive into some of the things that we showed you today. But thanks again, everybody. Thanks to you, Harry. Thanks to you, Jez, for your time. And I will now close the call. Thank you.
Thanks, Maria.
Thanks, Maria.